Assalamu alaikum. My name is Nadia Islam Nupur. My ID is 221155021. So, our today's topic is NAT, which means Network Address Translation. So, basically, what is NAT? NAT represents Network Address Translation, which is a core concept in computer networking. It enables devices on a private network to communicate with external networks such as Internet using a single or a small range of public IP address. Basically, NAT enables private IP addresses to access the Internet through a shared public IP. So, the key concepts of NAT: private versus public IP addresses, key types of NAT, how NAT works, benefits of NAT, and limitations of NAT. Today we will discover all the concepts. So, public versus private IP address. In public IP, your ISP assigns your router a public IP. Like here is a picture which is 82.129.80.111, which is public IP, which is used to communicate with websites and external servers. Whether the private IP is in the left side, we see a phone, a laptop device, IP addresses are private IP. So types of NAT. There are three different types of NAT. Number one is static NAT, two is dynamic NAT, and number three is port address translation. So let's talk about the types of NAT in briefly. So what is static NAT? Static NAT maps one private IP to one public IP, and it is useful when a specific internal resource, such as a server, must always use the same public IP. And whether the dynamic NAT is, the dynamic NAT maps multiple private IPs to a pool of public IPs, and public IPs are assigned on a first come, first served basis. On the other hand, port address translation maps multiple private IPs to a single public IP. It is called also NAT overload. It differentiates devices by using unique port numbers, and most common type of NAT used in home and small office routers. So let's move into the next part. So how NAT works. We can see in this image, it illustrates the process of network address translation, which is used in computer networks to allow devices within a private network to communicate with devices on the public internet. Here is a step-by-step explanation of the NAT process shown in this image. In this image, the private network IP is the laptop in the private network has the IP address 192.168.1.5, and the router's internal interface has the IP 192.168.1.1, also within the private IP range. And here we can see the public IP assignment, which is the router also has a public IP address 12.13.14.15 assigned to its external interface, which connects to the internet. When the laptop wants to access a website or service on the internet, it sends the request to the router with its private IP as the source address. The router's NAT service translates the private IP and assigns its own public IP to the outgoing packet. This hides the internal private IP from the external network. The router forwards the request to the destination server with its public IP as the source. The server processes the request and sends a response back to the router's public IP address. Upon receiving the response, the router uses its NAT table to determine which internal device the response is meant for. It replaces the public IP addresses with the original private IP addresses and forwards the packets to the laptop. So, coming to the next part, the benefits of NAT. Here we can see the benefits of NAT, which is IP address conservation. It reduces the need for a unique public IP for every device. Number two is security. Masks internal network details, making it harder for attackers and to directly target devices. Number three is flexibility. It allows multiple devices to share a single public IP. Let's see the limitations of NAT. So, the limitations of NAT in the slide, we can see that. So, one of the limitations of NAT is end-to-end connectivity issues. NAT disrupts protocols that embed IP addresses within their payload. And solutions like NAT traversal protocols help resolve such issues. Number two is performance overhead. NAT requires processing power to translate addresses, but potentially impacting performance on busy networks. Number three is IPv6 transition. With IPv6 vast address space, NAT becomes less necessary and promoting direct addressing. So, thank you so much. That's all for today. And also, if you find good in this video, please like, comment, and subscribe my channel and share this video. Thank you.